Have you ever wondered when the first computer program was written and who wrote it? Well, the answer might surprise you. The first computer program was written in 1843 by an aspiring mathematician nicknamed the Enchantress of Numbers by the father of the computer, Charles Babbage. Her name was Ada Lovelace. Ada Lovelace was born on December 10, 1815, to Lords George Byron and Lady Anne Byron. Lord Byron was a poet, but his wife was very much against poetry, as she hoped to steer Ada away from dangerous poetic tendencies. Instead, she had her learn mathematics, which was unusual for a woman in this time period. From early on, Lovelace had a knack for mathematics, and her talent led to her becoming the first author of a computer program, even though she lived more than 100 years before the invention of the modern computer. When Lovelace was 17 years old, she met Charles Babbage, who was 42. The two quickly became friends, and Babbage also became a mentor to Lovelace. She was even able to study advanced mathematics with University of London professor Augustus de Morgan because of Babbage's connections. In 1835, Lovelace married William King, who later became the Earl of Lovelace, and thus Ada Lovelace became the Countess of Lovelace. She now had her new duties, but she was still able to correspond with Babbage, and King was actually very supportive of his wife's academic endeavors. Babbage envisioned a new machine in 1837 called the Analytical Engine, which was a machine that he conceived could perform any calculation set before it. It was made of brass and steel, it was steam-powered, and consisted of 4 parts: the mill, the store, the reader, and the printer, which are all components present in modern computers. The mill is essentially the central processing unit, or CPU, of the Analytical Engine. It is where all the calculations took place. The store is the memory and is capable of storing 1,000 numbers of 40 digits. The reader would take in punched cards like these, which would consist of programs to complete certain calculations. The printer would then imprint the results of these calculations into cards to be read later. In 1843, Babbage tasked Lovelace with translating a French article about the Analytical Engine by an Italian mathematician named Luigi Manabrea. And not only did she translate it, but she also added notes of her own, so the end product was an article 3 times bigger than the original translation. In addition to this, she also described how the engine could calculate an incredibly difficult sequence of numbers called Bernoulli numbers. This description turned out to be the first ever computer algorithm, and it looks something like this. She also hypothesized that the Analytical Engine could perform other tasks that don't just pertain to calculations and numbers, but also more practical uses. This obviously turned out to be true, showing us just how ahead of her time Lovelace really was. Lovelace died of uterine cancer on November 27, 1852, at the young age of 36. While the Analytical Engine was never built during her lifetime and her notes never received much attention, she still left a big impact on the development of computers. Her notes were reintroduced to the world in 1953 by an author named B.V. Bowden, who published them in his book, Faster Than Thought, a Symposium on Digital Computing Machines, and she even had a computer programming language named after her in 1980. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments section below. If you like what you saw, please feel free to like the video and subscribe for more content just like this.